Hi, Laura. It's really nice to see you again. I've been at your conference 2 years ago in 2015. My name is Cristina. Among other things, I write on my blog, which is in part about parenting. I'm a happy mom of Sarah, who's 1, and Alex, who's almost 6. So I'm caught in between a baby who starts exploring and expressing the strong need for autonomy, and my son, who is shy, he's more introverted, and he's got a very strong sense of relatedness. He needs to know that he's important, that he matters. So even though he really loves his sister and he wanted a sister, we sometimes have very difficult moments when he acts out, wanting our attention and our confirmation that he still is important and he didn't lose his place, as being important for us. So although I wanted to ask you something else, but you've answered most of my planned questions, I would like you to give us some advice on how to handle the big brothers and big sisters and the tough moments when they need our attention, and we are maybe occupied with the little ones. Thank you.
It's so hard, right? Every one of us needs that recognition and validation and attention. Every one of us, no matter how old we are. And a 6-year-old, or any big sib, needs it mostly from the parents. And of course, babies need us 110%. So how do you spread yourself around if you have more than one child is always a challenge. If we lived in a village or a tribe, there would be more adults to hand the baby to, or for the 6-year-old to be getting validation from, right? But we're in a situation where we're the ones who have to be constantly the sun shining on those children, right? And sometimes there are cloudy days and we don't have a lot of sun left, right? So I think what really matters when you have more than one child is that each child believes that you could never love anyone more than you love that child. They have to believe that. And then whatever you give to the other child, it won't matter as much because you're not taking it away from them. So their needs have to be met, and that's hard. You can't always meet everybody's needs, right? They have to believe that you couldn't love anyone more. They have to believe that no matter how much you give their little sister, there's more than enough for them, right? That's hard too. But the more we can move toward doing that, the fewer times there will be those tough moments where they act out, right? So the best way I know to do that, to accomplish that, is to incorporate those times in your day every single day that will go a long way toward meeting those needs from the child. So I believe that every child needs one-on-one time with each parent, mom and dad, or mom and mom, or whoever, every single day. Every child needs time with each parent every single day. And it can't be just time that is, it can't be screen time, where their focus is elsewhere. And it can't be homework time, which is stressful for them. And it can't even be time that you're reading them a bedtime story, even though that's wonderful quality time, because you're focused on the story. You're not focused on them in the same way, right, where you're validating them. And so I think that one-on-one time, there's no way to replace it. And I think it's very hard for parents to do. You come home from work, if you're working outside the home and you come home from work, it's very hard to have enough time for each child, right? But if you can only do a little bit of time each day with each child, then longer time on the weekends. There's a guy in the United States who says you have to have a quarterly board meeting with each child. He came out of the business world. And that's what he says. He says, as a dad, that he's learned that every quarter he spends a full day with each child. That's, their time, and that his kids look forward to it. Now, I think it's great that his kids are old enough that they understand that every 3 months, Daddy's going to take them off for a day. I think, little kids need it every single day, and at least a longer time every weekend, right? So I think that in that time, if you really pour your love into your child, that matters tremendously in meeting their needs. But the other thing you have to look at is, Are their needs getting met in other ways? Is this a child who needs to cry? Is this a child who needs, is there something else going on? Are they having a hard time at school? You know, what is this child actually needing from you that you can give them? I think that matters. And then, I guess finally, I would notice the relationship between the two kids, and I would always want to give the older sibling ways to solve the problem they're having. Any younger sibling is annoying to an older sibling. It's just going to happen, especially a 1-year-old or a toddler of any kind. Toddlers, you know, the toddler's job description is to tear the house apart and annoy the older sibling. And they're going to tear the older sibling's toys and projects apart and wreck things. And so the parent really has to run interference to protect the older child, or they can expect the older child to be very jealous, and that's the best case scenario. Smacking the toddler is more likely, right? So I think there's a lot we can do to help the older sibling adjust. You know, I noticed recently, I was looking at old family pictures, and I noticed that in the family pictures, many of them, my son, who was 4 years older than my daughter, I have my arm around him, or I've pulled him close and he's on my lap when he's 8, 9. You know, I was keeping him very close physically. We would take a family picture of the 4 of us, and my husband's here, and my son is here, and I'm here, and then we grabbed her. She was, we would call her a hellraiser in the United States, you know. She was into everything all the time. But it's interesting that, you know, it would look from the pictures like I wasn't that close to her. In fact, I was very close to her, but I was making sure every time I paid any attention that he was in the embrace of his parents, so that he still felt as connected as he needed to feel. And I think it's really critical to do that.